Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Living Astrology with Janet. It's time to grab your cup of coffee or your tea and sit back and relax while we chat about what is happening up in the stars above us for this week, the third full week of July, and a week where we have some significant changes in the relative energy that is available to us as the sun makes a change on Tuesday into the sign of Leo. Leo season begins. And then, as well, following that on Thursday this week, the new moon in Leo, which is a doozy of a new moon. So it's an interesting week, one with a lot of potential, one with a lot of change that kind of comes with it, and in some ways, perhaps a renewal of sorts to your passion and your excitement of living and what it is that floats your boat, if you will. Float your boat. Boats are a big theme in this particular week, literally. And I'm going to show you at some point here. Oh, somehow it disappeared, but I'm going to show you the image um, of the new moon, which is got a configuration in it that we call a boat. And it is interesting to see that. And it's made up of some really good energies, trines and sextiles, one opposition, which that opposition will be taking place with there you go. I just pulled it up there so you guys can see it. Um, you have to kind of look sideways at it, but this is called a boat. And we'll be talking about what all of that means as we move on into the new moon this morning. So I hope all of you had a great weekend. It was a fast one, I swear. They go by so fast. We did a lot this weekend in terms of getting things organized here in my new home. Um, there's a huge garden just off to my left here that all of the beets were coming up, right? They were like up above the soil so that, they were ready. So we got those pulled and got them pickled. And that required a whole lot of work because I had bought flats of 32-ounce mason jars, gosh, back in March, maybe, a- somewhere like that. Never opened them. So I had to get them sterilized. That was a process. And then get the beets processed. And then we decided to do cucumbers and green beans at the same time, and all in a day. I mean, it was kind of crazy, but we managed to get it all done, and we still have a ton of beets out there that they just weren't quite ready yet. But when they're ready, we'll have a whole nother production of beets. It was kind of one of those days. My hands were stained red. I was afraid I wouldn't be able to get it off, but of course I was able to. So, good morning, everybody that is now joining us. So, today we are going to be talking about the astrological energy of the week, which is basically all in Leo energy, with the sun moving into Leo and then the sun making connections all week long, it seems, with the outer planets, including Uranus, Saturn, and Neptune, and Pluto. And then, as well, the new moon and those same planets all activated in the new moon, making this a very powerful new moon time. And then I want to take you through what the different gates are of Leo so that you can understand some, and other facets of the Leo energy for us. So, as the sun returns to its home sign in Leo, it's a new cycle of heart centered expression that begins for all of us. And as the sun is the ruler of Leo, the sun's of major importance. So, interesting that it starts that first couple of days with aspects to all of the outer planets, almost like there's some kind of transmission that's occurring between them. And Leo is the sign of the creative flame, both bold, radiant, and unapologetically itself, right? Leo is the sign that lives its truth. When the sun moves through Leo, we're all invited to reconnect to our joy, to our hearts, and our desire to be seen, and not for approval, though. Right? We're not desiring to be seen for approval, but just for the sheer authenticity of our presence, right? Of being our true selves. This is a season then of creative renewal. So, for the next 30 days or so, as the sun transits the sign of Leo, there's creativity, there is leadership potential, and our shining our light in a way that uplifts others, right? We're not just being egoic about it, but we're trying to add helpfulness and love and light to the world. And it's not just about ego, it's about aligning then with the truth of who we are and living that out loud, right? Living it out loud, being daring enough, bold enough to be your true authentic self. And with the sun making powerful aspects this week to Uranus, Saturn, Neptune, and Pluto, Leo's fire isn't just for show, right? It's here to spark real change. This is at the point at which things kind of speed up in the fire category, right? In the creative passion category. And so this Leo activation this week really is a week of cosmic catalysts, right? Those things that jumpstart creation or jumpstart our creative energy. Now, the theme of the sun in Leo, it lights this path of authentic leadership for us. I mean, primarily, it is a sign of courage and of the courage to lead, right? Leading with the heart, not leading with authoritarianism or leading with anything akin to the ego, just for the sake of getting, for power. Leo is really about heart led leadership. And then it opens doorways to us for soul transformation, and especially because this week it triggers this rare chain of aspects across the outer planets, some of which, or one of which, the minor grand trine between Uranus, Pluto, and Saturn, Neptune, lasts for several years, right through 2028. So it's impressive, I think, if you really take a look at everything that's potential right now, and potential in the high, but also, we've always got the balance point, that the low that we see as well. And before I get into the energies of the sun and all of the different planets, I want to talk a bit about a book that I think every one of you needs to read. I kind of cornered my oldest grandson last night and I said, "You need to read this book because he's youth. He's the youth of America, right? He's 19 and he is a little right leaning in his way of thinking, which, hey, that part doesn't bother me. But what does need to be said is that we are leaning toward fascism in this country, in this world. It's not just the USA, it's the world, particularly when you read a book like this, How Fascism Works, The Politics of Us and Them. The author is Jason Stanley. Now, this was actually written, I think, in 2015, maybe. No, 2018. Hold on here, 2018. So it was, written at a point in time where we hadn't quite gotten to COVID yet and the impact that COVID had on the world. And we hadn't gotten to this next election, right, in the US. But it is interesting nonetheless to read how fascism works and how we all need to be ready, willing, and able to recognize it when it's happening. And this is despite whatever party is in power, right? It's not about party, it's about how, we're being manipulated in certain ways in an us versus them sort of dynamic. And um, what we all need to be, watching for, right? And it was incredibly chilling, right? In light of some of the things that have been happening in terms of education and in terms of shutting down all of these different uh, bureaucracies, and what is the reason why that is happening, and why would we do all that? Why would we sign up for that, right? There is one level of what we're being told, but there's a whole nother level of why that is happening in the world. And it was interesting to read about Poland and Hungary, two countries that have really gone more toward that fascist mythology. And I want everybody to read this just for awareness, to watch what's happening, to be aware so that you know what to do with your voice. You know what to do with your vote. You know what to do with your money, right? With your the way that you can impact the world around you. So, Jason Stanley, How Fascism Works. Get it? It's not very long. It's pretty easy read, and share it with others. It's important. All right, let's say good morning real quickly to everybody. I saw Julie out there. Good morning, Julie. And Joan Durchie, hello to you. Narges, good morning. And TD Hawk, good to see you. Processing food. Great to be able to do that. They will be delish. Yes, and here's a funny little story. So my daughter was making the pickling sauce or juice or whatever, right? So she had all that going, and I had I had a glass of Sprite that I was drinking, and it was sitting on the counter, and somehow the pickling juice got into my Sprite. Well, I didn't know that, and she didn't know that. When she was pouring it into the bottles, some of it just spilled out, and I picked up my drink to take a big hit of Sprite with pickling juice in it. Oh, that was terrible, but it was funny. Okay, J-Lo, good morning to you. Kelly Blau, good morning. J-Lo says, please remember to smash the like buttons, hit the like, hit the thumbs up, and share this with your friends or your social networks. And good morning, Jana. It's good to see you with us. Kelly says, I can't believe we're living through this, but here we are. Looks like a great resource. Um, Indeed. And, I try to stay in the middle when I'm talking to all of you in terms of politics because I truly love people no matter what, right? I have friends that are way on the right. I have friends that are way on the left. I have grandchildren way on the left and way on the right. And I just try to stay myself in the middle, even though I pretty much lean left. I feel like there's a much more heart centered way that we could run this country and run this nation or run the globe. And I feel like it's something that we need to do together, and of course, then I get called, a globalist or, all these other, weird terms that we like to, categorize and name people. Um, but that's the whole point, right? We need to honor no matter what is going on, the people and their beliefs, even if we don't understand it, even if we're completely on the opposite side, you know, it doesn't change the fact that they are people and that we can all have our own ideas, but we have to work together. And the only way we can work together is to set aside the politics of us and them and realize that we are a we, right? We're a we, and that we all have to get along in this world. And as fascism and other types of authoritarianism don't recognize that, right? They don't recognize it. It's all the masters of the universe. They're getting everything they want in the world at this point in time because one by one, right, countries are starting to lean way to the right, which is where fascism can enter into the picture. I just read this morning that Japan just elected more of people on the right, or the party that has more people representing it now is on the far right, and we've got to question that. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying we've got to somehow come back to the middle and design a world where we all can get along. I don't know. I don't know anybody out there right now that can do that, but hopefully someday. There we go. Okay, let's take a look now at the aspects the sun is making this week because there's quite a few. And the first one up is on July 23rd, Wednesday. So first, the sun, of course, moving into Leo. That's the first activation, and that happens on the 22nd at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So that means 6:30 a.m. if you're on the west coast of the United States. And that is when the sun begins to shine its very powerful light in the sign of Leo. Then the very next day, Leo or the sun in Leo comes into a sextile with the planet Uranus in Gemini, newly in Gemini, I might add. So here are some key words to think about for that particular transit. One is innovation, right? Gemini and Uranus, very much about innovation, thinking about excitement and what can come from having Uranus, triggering the sun. Liberation, perhaps some surprise insights as to what's happening for you personally or what next steps to take. And the Leo sun, which is about creativity and expression and leadership, forms this harmonious sextile with Uranus and Gemini, which is about breakthroughs and original thinking and disruption of outdated mental patterns. So we have, shakeups possible in all of this. And the energy here encourages you to express yourself differently, take creative risks, and maybe even make unexpected moves that, feel aligned with your truth. That something that you haven't done or something that you have, been reluctant to do. And maybe there are sudden flashes of insight that may come around and show you, new ways of communicating or new ways to lead in your life. And the question that we should all be asking ourselves then is, where are we ready to break free from the old ideas about how we should lead or should create or should behave, right? All of those, if you're living from a should, you're living from the wrong place, right? The possibilities are that you could live from whatever position it is that you want to live from and lead from. Now, um, the second aspect is a trine from the Leo sun to Saturn and Neptune, both in Aries. And the key words here, let's start with Saturn, is structure and mastery and form, disciplined creativity, right? Creativity is all great, but if you don't have a form or a discipline from which it can get expressed, it's just energy that's floating around, right? So Saturn in Aries brings the discipline to take bold action. And the Leo sun brings the passion and the presence and the romance, even in doing your thing and being passionate about it. And this trine actually supports practical steps toward long term creative or leadership goals. But you have to have the goal. So, what's the goal? What's your dream? And what is it that you are passionate about? What direction do you want to focus your passions toward? Now, you may also feel clarity of purpose and a readiness to ground your vision into reality. Maybe you're just ready to make it real. And the message is, this is a build it with soul kind of transit. It's solid. And that means that sustainable and solid moves can be made now toward your goal, right? Toward that. But remember, too, Mercury is retrograde in Leo. So it might mean that for the time being, you need to move a little backwards first. Like take a look back at what you've done, what your dreams have been, and how are they, fulfilled or not? Is there something from the past that you want to, bring forward and recreate in some way? Right. So keep that in mind. Mercury and Leo in retrograde is causing us to look backwards in order to move forward, right? Now, the sun is in Leo is also trine Neptune in Aries at the same time because Saturn and Neptune are still in a conjunction. And the key words with Neptune involved are vision, the visionary part of yourself, divine inspiration, and soul led direction, listening to the inner guide and how the inner guide is activated. Neptune offers the dream, the ideal, the spiritual longing. And in Aries, it infuses that longing and that dream and that vision with action and with meaning, right? With the need to take steps. The trine, which is a 120-degree angle between the sun in Leo and Neptune in Aries, is enhancing this imaginative flow. So the flow of your imagination and your creative energy is flowing. There's charisma here as well, and that you're also being guided, of like a feeling that you're being guided by something greater, right? Greater than yourself. Maybe really, for once hearing your higher self or your soul. And it's a download friendly window, if you will, for visionaries, for artists, and for heart centered leaders. We're open to the divine and the divine channeled in through Aries, Neptune, and infusing you with maybe imagination, but also with this vision of what could be. So use this time, that this week, um, to dream, to spend some time asking yourself, what is it that you really want? Leo is a sign of desire and wants, right? That desire that comes from deep within the heart, right? Journal and discover more about what that dream is and receive inspiration. Be ready to receive inspiration. And then, because there's also a trine going on with Saturn in this configuration, you'll be able to shape it thanks to Saturn, right? So it'll be able to take shape. Now, whether or not you put that out into the world yet is another story because, of course, Mercury in retrograde slows that process down, giving you ample opportunity to reevaluate, right? To recreate and to really, take a look at the renewal aspect of what it is that you dream, of what it is your vision is. All right. Now, as well, the sun in Leo is going to oppose Pluto in Aquarius. Now, this happens on July 25th. By the way, I'm doing these things daily, and then I'm going to go back to the new moon. Okay, because the new moon is kind of sandwiched in between all of these transits, which means that all of those transits that we're talking about are activated in the new moon, which amps them all up, right? Because of the ability for a new beginning, a new start, a intention setting time, right? So individually first, and then we'll go back to the new moon. So the sun in Leo opposing Pluto brings up deep psychological pressure, and it's keywords are all about power and transformation and truth telling and intensity, right? There's a lot of intensity with Pluto, and especially in the opposition to the sun, where both energies are very prominent. So that deep psychological pressure is brought to the surface. What's hidden can be revealed. Now, that can happen collectively, but also personally, right? So for, both the collective and the person, and it can stir up power struggles. It can, cause our egos to flare, or transformative realizations, that aha moment, right? That can come from this. The Leo Aquarius axis highlights personal leadership versus collective systems. How do we as sovereign beings show up in our world? And what does that mean? What does that look like while everybody's trying to do their own thing, be individual? How do we do that in the face of a collective world that needs boundaries and limits and so forth? So we may need to discover where we need to reclaim our own voice, right? And able to be saying what we need to say or creating what we need to create. And this is a moment of truth. It's inviting you to shed the false identities and stand in your authentic power. We've been building to this kind of all year, right? With all of these outer planets changing signs, giving us this heartbeat of a moment to change things, to move things in a new direction, including your own personal life. Now, I'm going to show you the picture of the new moon because let me add that to the stage here so you guys can see this again. Because as we tie all of these aspects together, what we get is this energy that is very positive, slightly volatile, right? And it's made up by the sun and moon up here in I know you can't see me. I wish I could show you my cursor, but the sun and moon at the top of the chart in Leo, and that is opposing Pluto down at the bottom, right? Their sun and moon are at 2 degrees 8 minutes as of the new moon, which, by the way, happens at 3:11 p.m. in Washington, D.C., so that is East Coast time, noon, 11 p.m. West Coast time, and in Universal time, that is 7:11 p.m. in the evening. So we have the Pluto Sun Moon opposition. We have the sextile of the Sun Moon to Uranus right here, over here in Gemini to the right side in the green. And then we have the kind of picture of what we have here is this boat, or this cosmic vessel that's built from vision, from structure down over here with the Saturn and Neptune conjunction, and stability, and then soul deep power coming from Neptune, and innovation coming from Uranus, and all of this, providing stability, movement, an inner compass maybe for navigating change. And it holds the tension with Pluto. Yet the trines and the sextiles, this in the green is sextile, trines, and then another trine from Uranus to Pluto, and another set of sextiles from Pluto to Saturn, Neptune, and from Saturn, Neptune up to Uranus, right? So it holds that tension, yet those trines really create sort of support and grace in the changes that are taking place for us. This is a chance for all of us to cross new waters, to use the metaphor of the boat, right? Crossing new waters, especially in areas of creative expression, your purpose, your soul aligned leadership potential, and how it is that you want to present yourself now to the world. So now let's look at this through the new moon. The new moon in Leo isn't just bold. It's brilliantly orchestrated at this point, and it doesn't stand alone. It is one that is highly activated, and it's activating this rare and powerful boat configuration in our charts, created by these two interlocking minor grand trines. You can see the first one in green and the second one is in blue, but there's one part that crosses over, and that's the Uranus to Neptune-Saturn conjunction that is overlapping. And then we have the grand trines involved, and then we have the tension-rich opposition to Pluto in Aquarius. So on one side of the boat, we have the new moon, and this is the one in green. So on one side of the boat, we have the new moon in Leo sextile Uranus in Gemini, which invites that innovative, inventive side of ourselves, authenticity, being your true, real, authentic self, and surprise breakthroughs, right? Things that happen when you least expect it. And then it also trines Saturn and Neptune in Aries, which is a beautiful blending of structure and vision in and of itself, making our dreams more buildable, and intentions, which is what the new moon is all about, more sustainable. Then on the other side, we have another minor grand trine with the energy of the new moon opposing Pluto, right? Sitting directly opposite of that moon. And that's creating this deeper undercurrent of transformation. Like it's whispering, almost yelling at us in the whisper that we have to change, that something's not right, that something's rotten in Denmark, to use a saying. Um, and this opposition pulls power dynamics and collective truths into focus, where we can more clearly see the suppressed parts of ourselves, or what has been suppressed or distorted is ready to surface and be reclaimed. So together, these aspects all form this boat, and it's a vessel made to navigate the deep emotional and creative waters that we find ourselves in at this point in time. And it offers stability through change, right? The change sometimes that we didn't know we needed, but certainly didn't want, but here it is, right? Structures within the transformation, right? Creating new structures, and the courage to cross thresholds with heart and purpose. right? Thresholds, meaning we're walking across into a new reality, right? A new um, vision, a new dream, a new earth, even. Now, the collective impact. What does it mean, for all of us on planet Earth at this point in time? Well, this new moon is a cosmic invitation to shift a paradigm, right? With outer planets all in early degrees of new signs. They're all between 0 and 3 degrees of their new signs. We're at the start of new cycles, culturally, creatively, and spiritually. There's big dynamics at work here that are brand new. And the collective is navigating identity, power, and vision on new terms. What does this mean? Right? How do we navigate this very tricky time in our collective history? And we're navigating systems that don't support authentic expression, and they're being challenged. So the old systems are still being challenged, being excavated, even, if you will. And there's a rising call. Even if it's not very loud yet, it will get louder. And it's a call for soul led leadership. There are people out there like Marianne Williamson, who is very clearly stating something that others will not state, and that it is we need to lead from heart. We need to lead from love and not from this fascism or this fascist us versus them kind of mentality that's taking place right now. And it not, a fascist system is hierarchical, right? It sees what a group or some persons in a higher light than others, right? There's this superiority thing that happens where, let's say, it's white men on the top, and to a lesser degree than white women, and there's a place for everybody. Men are power, women are productive vessels, right? Or production vessels for babies. And then there's the people below that, which are, perhaps, African Americans. Who are There are the Muslims, there are the people who aren't white males and women, right? And even women are separated out from that. That's how fascism works. It takes and makes this hierarchy, which is not integrity from the heart, which is what the potential of this time is about. Integrity from the heart. Now, let's make this personal now, right? Personal intentions and how to thrive in this new moon. So this isn't a passive moon. This isn't one that you can just sort of ignore, sort of let it go by. It's a call to co-create your reality with conscious intent. And here's how for you we how each of us can align with this. First of all, lead from the heart, right? Set intentions around being authentic and having around authentic expression, being your real you, the true you. And what does it look like to lead from joy, not fear? Right? What does that look like? I don't know that we even know what that looks like. Embrace the new, right? Be open to radical ideas, and that can liberate you from your old paradigm, from your old identities, from the old you. Build the dream, right? Use Saturn and Neptune to craft a vision that's both inspired and actionable, even if the action is a little bit drawn out because of Mercury in retrograde. Transform with purpose. What truth are you ready to face and reclaim? Pluto, right? There's Pluto in this. Where can you step into more power, your own personal power? So here's a tip for how to handle, or what you can do at this point in time. You know, write your intentions as if you're already embodying them. So, for example, I am courageously visible in my truth. Right. So you were doing this in the positive, the affirmative, as if you're already embodying that passion, that creative vision, that voice, that authentic self. And light a candle maybe for your creative fire, and let it guide your next steps, right? Let it guide what you do next. All right. Questions, comments? Aha, Kelly, we need new cycles, new systems. Definitely, I totally agree with that. Christine Buckingham, good morning. Senator James Tallarico from Texas is an inspiring voice calling out the hypocrites. Very cool. Very cool. Asa, namaste, lovely LA tribe. Wow, this is my chart almost. Except there's so much more Libra in your chart, isn't there? TD Hawk, agree. It's been difficult to work with those who are so fervently against anything we, but just them. hmm Exactly right, TD. Um, it's incredible what we're living through, and every, day I kinda wake up and go, "There's this nightmare that we're sort of living." And, I mean, and I would think it was, a nightmare because I can't believe we're having to relive themes that we've already lived, right? Our ancestors have lived through these, our parents, right, lived through times such as these and fought wars. So to prevent the very thing that's happening in kind of the underside of things right now from happening. Our forefathers, bless their hearts, in the revolution fought for our freedoms that are being eaten away, kind of taken away. But we don't necessarily see it yet, right? We're so blind at this point in time. And that's why we have to wake up. We have to be alive and ready to take action in keeping our own dreams alive, right? So we're adding our voice and our creativity to that of the world, not because we're ignoring what's happening in the wider world, but so that we have something to be positive about, to be optimistic about, to add to the voices, right? To add to the tapestry that is this world. And it's each of us, right? We each have a role to play, and you've got to do it. You've got to do it. You've got to find what it is that makes you excited and happy and joyful and live from that, right? During these dark times, but without ignoring, what's going on in the wider world. Okay. Now, today I also want to take a look at Leo through the gates of human design. So I'm going to bring up, hold on, as I bring up my screen with the body graph chart on it for you to see. Oh, I see. We're not going to show that one. We're going to show this one. Let me make sure that is what you guys are seeing. No, that isn't what you're seeing. So hold on while I remove that one and add. No, remove. There we go. Now I could do it. Share screen. It must be the other. There we go. Now, what you're seeing is the chart, the human design chart. So I want to talk about the different gates of Leo so you can get to see what the different facets are of the sign of Leo, right? In astrology, we talk about all the characteristics, all the keywords, and all of that. But what we sometimes, miss are what the different designations, like what different parts of Leo might bring. Like what are these different energies? So the Leo gates in human design are all about embodying radiance, influence, and devotion, right? Those are, some of the bigger ways in which we can use Leo energy. And of course, the first gate that the sun hits in the sign of Leo is the gate 56. We talked about that on Friday. As on Saturday, that is where the gates or the sun moved, which the gate of expansion on this throat center. And the theme is here in this gate is about the storyteller. And this gate communicates ideas and dreams and adventures. And its Leo connection is that it reflects Leo's expressive flair, right? Its ability to say things in an interesting and different, maybe, way, and inspiration. right? It's sharing experience with dramatic, maybe captivating delivery, right? That's Leo. Sometimes you know a Leo by the way it is that they're speaking, right? And I'm not a Leo, but I have lots of Leo energy, and you can almost tell that because I use my hands a lot and I get passionate about certain things. I get on my soapbox kind of energy. That comes from having four things, four planets in Leo, right, at birth. um, to balance the expression in this gate, we need to share from lived wisdom and experience and inspiration, right? So sharing our story as a way to inspire, right? Not to drag people down or scare people, but to inspire. And the shadow expression is about oversharing or speaking too much or speaking without substance, right? Being very superficial in what it is that you're saying. And the Leo lesson through this particular gate is about expanding our influence through authentic storytelling that uplifts and inspires others, right? So that's the gate 56. Now, next week, the sun will move into the gate 31, a gate on the throat center as well, but moving downward toward the identity center. And the gate 31 is called the gate of leadership or the gate of the leader. And the theme here is the democratic voice of the collective. And leaders with gate 31 lead by being chosen, not by force, right? Not by being forced. And the Leo connection here is that it aligns with Leo's natural magnetism and desire to make an impact, but it must come from humility, not ego, right? Very important here, not from ego. The balanced expression is influence that we have that it brings clarity for others or is respectful and is service oriented, right? Brings this idea of we're here to serve one another. The shadow expression seeks attention or authority for self validation, for self aggrandizement, right? It's not doing it to help others. It doesn't have that at its heart. Its heart is more about power and self and a sort of selfish self centeredness. So the Leo lesson in the gate 31 is about true leadership that's earned through presence, not performance, right? This isn't an act job or this isn't about acting. This is about true being. All right, then the next week we move into the gate 33. Now, the gate 33 is called the gate of retelling, and it is also on the throat. So you see, three gates of the five or so that are Leo gates are all coming from the throat center. And the throat center is about how we create and about how we express. Right. So it has a lot to do with that creative self expression and how it is that we manifest our reality. So in the gate 33, the theme is about being the keeper of stories. This is the historian gate. It integrates and shares past experiences to pass on wisdom so that we can learn from the mistakes of the past, not relive them, not redo them, but learn from them. And the Leo connection here with this particular gate is, there's this gate is tapping into Leo's reflective and dignified side. And it's able to honor the past and inspire the future, right? The past stands as experience for us. And how do we learn from that experience? And how does that inform and create a new possible future for us? In the balanced expression in this gate, it shares learned truths when the moment is right? Not standing on the street corner blaring it, with nobody wanting to listen, but in the right time, in the right place, with the right people and the right message, right? That this gets shared. In the shadow, the 33 is a gate that clings to the past and tells stories that reinforce limitation, not growth, not expansion, not consciousness, right? It holds us and limits us to the past. And the Leo lesson here is about sharing your journey as a gift to others, not a weight, not something that drags you down. Your story then can become a torch that lights the way for others to follow, right? So that's what the 33 is all about. Then Leo sun will move into the gate 7, also a gate of leadership, but this is one that is collaborative. This is called the gate of collaboration. The theme here is the role of the guide and the strategist, right? That leads best when paired with others. So this is leadership in collaboration, sort of the Knights of the Round Table kind of feel to it, right? Where we're, all conversing and sharing and coming to a consensus by collaborating energy. And the Leo connection here is that it reminds Leo energy that leadership isn't solo. It's a shared journey. That is indeed part of your human design. It is indelible. It's there, right? That we share power, that we share our journey, that we are, we're collaborating, we're co-creating, in this particular world, right? That is in our human design template. Because even if you do not have gate 33 or gate 7, let's say, defined, it's still there. You're not missing it. It's just about the way you express it personally. Now, the balanced expression in the gate 7 is supportive of collective direction through grace, through intuition, through sharing, right? Through a need to uplift, right? And inspire. The shadow energy of the gate 7 is manipulative. It's manipulating others, or it resists support, takes on the lone wolf kind of energy, or the maverick energy, right? That's kind of this USA thing that we're all mavericks, right? And doing our own thing and leave me alone. I can do it myself. Uh, anyway, the Leo lesson in the gate 7 is that even the strongest leaders need allies, right? And that greatness is amplified through collaboration, not being solo. Now, we jump from the identity center and throat centers up to the ajna. And the last full week of Leo energy is in the gate 4, the gate of possibilities, and it sits on the ajna. So we can tell this is going to address mental, right? Mental capacities. The theme of this particular gate is mental answers and rational solutions, and it seeks certainty and it seeks logic. So we're suddenly thrust into the details of things that are logical, that are rational. And the Leo connection here adds discernment to Leo's bold enthusiasm. It encourages belief in what could be, not just what is. Like the possibility is we could live in peace, right? The possibility is we could elect leaders that share power, that are heart led, right? Not ego led. In the balanced expression, this offers us clarity and vision without attachment. There's a key, right? Without attachment. In the shadow, it becomes rigid. This energy becomes anxious or overly certain about the way things should be or are. And the Leo lesson here is about keeping your mind open, keeping an open mind so that your brilliance can grow when you allow space for possibility, right? Otherwise, you shut it down and you bring it in. This needs to be more expansive. And the last gate of Leo season, and it's a very short couple of degrees that Leo sits at here in the gate 29 on the sacral, which is the gate of saying yes. It's the gate of commitment. So the theme is about saying yes, but with full devotion, right? Committed energy to the right path, or to your path, right? To your path of vision and passion. And the Leo connection here is that it reflects Leo's loyalty, right? There's this loyal energy and its passion, but it warns against burning out from saying yes to too many things or saying it too much, right? In the balanced expression, wholehearted devotion is aligned with opportunities. the opportunities to take action. And I should say the right opportunities for you to take action, which is all based in human design on your strategy and your type and your authority, right? Being aligned. In the shadow expression, this is about overcommitting or saying yes to too many things, right? And getting yourself into a situation where you can't be devoted to anything because there's too much, too many, right? Too many things. So the Leo lesson here for us in this Leo season will be only committing to what sets your soul on fire, right? Saying yes only to those things that really make you excited. And that's where your true power lies, right? Your commitment lies in your excitement, your power is in your passion. And then that devotion to what it is that you love sustains you through the challenges and through the opportunities that come up around that. That's a final Leo lesson as Leo leaves us then to move into Virgo energy. And Virgo then picks up the energy of commitment and runs with it. So, in summary, as we look at all of these gates, they form this tapestry of inspired leadership, of creative expression, and soulful integrity, being true to yourself, being true to the dream. And Leo's light is not about being the star for its own sake, right? It's not about putting you on a pedestal, but it's about shining as a beacon for others to follow, right? That's the key here. And then as we look at these different centers, the throat center, where the gate 56, 31, and 33 are located, it amplifies Leo's voice, right? And the story, its influence, and the wisdom that it holds. And it must be expressed with intention. So, a very intentional kind of energy in Leo. In the G center, the gate 7, and the G center being the identity center, the center of love and direction. And it anchors Leo's identity in shared purpose and in visionary direction. The ajna, the second center down, the center for logic and for certainty and thinking. We equate the ajna with all of the mental processes, memory, recall, contrast, and comparison, all of that. So the gate 4 brings logic and visionary thinking together, right, into Leo's passion. So using both hemispheres of the brain, so to speak, in order to create. And then finally, the sacral, the gate 29, provides the energy to pursue what truly matters to you, what really matters with heart, right? What's really true for you from deep within your heart. All right. Questions, guys. Um, let's see. I wake up and say, what fresh hell hath that wrought today? I think the rising fascism is bubbling up because humanity is purging it out. I would agree, but it's still scary nonetheless, right? To see it happening. I just have to keep myself focused on love and on my own passion and on creating a world that I want to live in, right? I keep envisioning, what all this means. But you're right, those early degrees of any of the signs brings to the surface the shadow of those signs. So we're seeing the shadow of Pluto in Aquarius, the non compassion, the non empathy, the marginalization of the other, whatever the other might be, right? In this case, in this country, it's the immigrants. And then, we see in Saturn and Aries, or Saturn and Neptune in Aries, this sort of egocentric individualism, that I can do what I want when I want. And, it doesn't matter that, I'm impacting, other people with my decisions. I can just do it. That's the negative of Aries energy. And now with Uranus freshly in Gemini, we have the early degrees bringing up the shadow of that, which is superficialism, perhaps, or untruths, or the inability to discern truth from falsehood. So you're right, right? In the beginning, we get the shadow so that we can see it, and it's plain and as the nose on our faces, what is ugly, what's rotten, what's not working, what needs to be transformed. And then we can set about to transform it as we start to move through to the more middle degrees of those signs, which these are outer planets. They're not going to move to that middle ground very quickly, right? We're looking at possibly 2030 before we actually start to get a grip on what the uglies have been so that we can start to move them to something, more akin to what our true purpose and hearts are, right? So don't be surprised if it takes a while. And then as we move into the latter degrees, which are still many years hence, um, we see the potential and how we can transform all of that into a very positive light. So, yes, these are difficult times, but by design, right? By design, so that we can wake up and see what it is that um, has rotted, right? Who that no longer serves us. That is, way outside of what we need to move forward, right? Okay. Good morning, Teddy. I was wondering where you were this morning. And let's draw a couple of cards for the week. Okay. I should have pulled these cards up sooner, but I did not. Let's see what deck I get. I was hoping I would get this one, the Dreamweaver's deck. And I don't want that one. Okay. We can do these two. So we're going to pull a dream. They're both Colette Baron Reed, the Dreamweaver's Oracle, and the Oracle of the Seven Energies, both decks by Colette Baron Reed. But in honor of Leo season, let's pull or it's Leo season that's dawning upon us. Not to, forget that we're still in the last day or two of Cancer energy. Let's see what wisdom the dream makers give us. All the willows know your name. This is an interesting looking card. Here it is. All the willows know your name. And it's card number 13, which is a 4, which implies structure and form, right? Boundaries, maybe. And let's see what this is about. 13. And its essential meaning is being witnessed and seen by another, being understood, the flexibility of healthy relationships and interdependence. It's such a beautiful feeling to know that you are truly seen by another or by a whole community. When you are known, accepted, and witnessed by others, you have a wonderful sense of connection and communication. You feel the grounded safety of belonging. These are the kinds of relationships present in your life now, and they provide you with plenty of room to grow. This sense of connection rises from a space of transparency, honesty, trust, and radical self acceptance. You naturally invite others to see you as you see yourself in the fullness of your expression. When you shine, it comes from a true desire to share, and that is compelling and attractive to others who can appreciate you. Know that right now you are seen, witnessed, respected, appreciated, and accepted. You don't have to look for approval, for you already have it. Remember that you shine on behalf of the divine. And isn't it amazing that all the willows know your name? Doesn't that feel good? I love it. Did not know what this card was going to bring, but there you have it. All the willows know your name. All right. Now let's draw one more. And this one will come from the Oracle of the Seven Energies. And that is a Colette Baron Reed deck as well. And let's see which of the 7 energies we are going to be playing with today. Is the fire out? I do not know. I haven't gotten any updates, so I'm assuming it is. It's not hot enough right now to really keep it going. Ooh, a lovely card. And what Teddy's referring to is that yesterday evening or late afternoon, a fire broke out on the hill right behind me here, or right in front of me. And it's a little worrisome because it's fire danger, wildfire season. But luckily, the temperatures have been fairly low and the humidity pretty high. So, all right, opening to discovery, card number 34. This is a beautiful card. I want you to notice the key at the bottom. and it says opening to discovery. Look at all the stars forming a keyhole, right? That's lovely. All right, let's see where I can find card 34. Okay, and its key concepts are the small bits of data you collect from the world to form ideas, the transfer of vital information via the universe, always speaking to you, the need to integrate information and be discerning about what you expose yourself to. Like, what energies do you expose yourself to? We tune in to information from our outer environment, then assign meaning to it within our psyches. Every day, however, the amount of data we sort through exceeds what we're capable of processing. Especially since the advent of the internet, we have been bombarded with more than we could ever hope to absorb. Therefore, it's important to be mindful of what we expose ourselves to. Consistent exposure to unhealthy messaging invites us into a cynical, fear based worldview. On the other hand, conscious exposure to information supporting our well being shifts us toward growth and expansion. The choice, though, is not obviously ours, which is why we must be discerning on a daily basis. The universe is always engaging us. We are part of it, after all, though through synchronicity, omens, and other signs that point toward our best path. Our intuition helps us tune in and see our environment like an oracle. However, this new information doesn't always make sense right away, so being curious and non resistant is key to learning. Today, be open to receiving important information that may come from an unusual source. The universe wants to help you, but recognizing the way this aid will arrive depends on your willingness to shut out superfluous noise. Maybe you need to take a break from social media, gossip, or the news. Don't let yourself get distracted. Listen without attachment and see what arises in your life. Expect a message from the universe, and you shall have it. There we go. Opening to discovery. The key is yours, and the keyhole is available through the universe. All right, guys, that is it for me today. Thank you so much for joining me. Let me remind you, on Wednesday, the 23rd at 12 noon, Tam and I will be presenting the Uranus in Gemini webinar. I will post the link for you to purchase that. It's $22, and there's lots of great information that we have put together for you in that. And then I will see you on Friday, where we'll talk about what is happening over the weekend. Thank you, everybody. Much love to you all. Bye for now.